Hello, hello, hello. I'm Ed Jones II. I'm the founder of Beyond the Field Player Development. This podcast is here to bring exposure to the player development field. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time with me. I really appreciate you being here. Today is a bonus episode for you, the listener. If you're new here and don't know much about player development, please go and check out the 2 videos on this page explaining player development. I will put those in the show notes. As National Signing Day approaches, I want to take time to talk to you about the transfer portal. We have a player development pod testimonial. Before we start the show, I want to thank Danielle Berman, who says this about the player development pod. Love hearing from folks in the space about their work. I always learn some great insights. Danielle, thank you so much for your kind words. Thank you for listening to the player development pod, and thank you for all that you do with your organization, with your company, tackle what's next in helping athletes in their transition. Thank you so much. All right, we got a player development conference update. We have a player development conference update. The player development conference will be on May 19th and 20th. It is virtual, but it'll be May 19th and 20th, that Friday and that Saturday. If you're interested in sponsoring the event, please click the link in the show notes. Please click the interest form in the show notes. This event will provide your company and your services with valuable access to the directors of player development all around the world. You don't want to miss. If you're looking to engage directors of player development, directors of athlete development, if you're looking to get in that space and put your company in front of athletes for possible career placement, talk about finances, different things like that, you want to sponsor this event. All right, let's get to the show. Like I said, this is a bonus episode. I'm not going to spend too much time here, but we're going to talk about the transfer portal. So the transfer portal, right? The transfer portal. These players just get in there. They don't work hard. They don't want to fight through things. Or you know what? Give them the opportunity. If coaches are leaving, let them leave too. To you, the transfer portal may be one of the best things in college football or one of the worst things in college football. Or you could overall say college athletics. I've actually stayed away from this topic because I believe there's positives and negatives to the portal, but it's a lot of discussion. My friends ask me all the time. People ask me all the time. So I was like, you know what? Let me share my thoughts on the transfer portal and specifically how it is in relation to player development. Working in college football for over half a decade, I've seen the transfer portal grow into what it is now. When I first got into it, of course, there were transfers, but you would sit out a year. Then you had the graduate transfers who graduated from their school and still had eligibility left and would go to another school and play immediately. And then the portal came. So the portal was there, and you had to be the head coach had to say you can go here, or the head coach could say you can't go to these schools, or you can't go to this opponent, or you can't go to this conference. Then after a while, you could sit out 1 year. Then it is what it is now, where you're in there. There's a lot of immediate eligibility. Now, in my role, if you're saying, okay, what does the transfer portal have to do with player development? In my role, I was one of the first people to find out when players were transferring. They would come in my office and they would say, hey, coach, I think I'm gonna get in the portal, for this reason or that reason, whatever it may be. Now, if you've heard my podcast, you listen to this podcast, you would know that, I was fortunate to have good relationships and build relationships with these players. So they trusted me, and I was one of the first people to find out. Now, when they would come in and talk to me, I always wanted to know their reasoning. I'm not a person to stop someone from doing what they feel is best in their life, but I'm also not going to allow someone to make a decision that I know will hurt their life. So I would have conversations. I would say, hey, thank you so much for coming to me. I understand why you're doing it, or I disagree. Have you thought about this? I would leave my opinion on what I thought about the situation. Once again, I'm not going to stop anybody from doing what they believe is the best, but I want to provide some insight for them on the goods and bads of the portal. Now, from there, I would let the coaches know if it was like a real deal. Some players would just use it just to be like, oh, I'm gonna jump in the portal, whatever. But if it was real and it was picking up some heat, I would then go communicate with our coaching staff. Now, the reasons for these players getting in the portal went all the way from academics to playing time to homesickness to just certain particular situations that they had in their life that they felt that moving on from the university we were at was the best thing for them. Now, a lot of people think players want to move because they don't want to compete, or, they just don't want to fight. They don't want to tough it out. They're not tough. I was shocked that one university I worked at, there were multiple players that were getting in the portal who had a lot of playing time, who were huge contributors to what we were doing. And so that kind of made me think, you know what? I said in my office, I'm like, man, these are guys who are playing. These are guys who are playing and they want to get in the portal, they want to leave. So it's not about playing time, it's not about academics, it's not about this. And I don't know, it just got me thinking, what can we do for these players or people in this space? Now, one thing that I've learned that players these days, and Gen Z, they get a lot of flack for this and that. I particularly like Gen Z. I work with them, so I like them. I understand them. They are different. Every generation is different, but you got to get to know them. But the one thing that's still tried and true in sports is they want to win. And so that is one big determinant of some student athletes getting into the transfer portal. But I started thinking to myself, I said, in player development, how can I create a solution? What is a solution that I can create to help our program, to help the coach I work for, to help some of those student athletes who are on the fence, who think that the transfer portal will answer all their questions? And I just started thinking about certain things. And so what I thought about was, I was like, you know what, let me go back to when they get recruited to when they get here. Now, when they get recruited, they have the entire coaching staff. So 10 position coaches, plus the head coach, plus the recruiting department, plus the strength staff. Like literally everybody in the program is reaching out to them. I've sent letters, I've sent text messages. So you got somewhere between 30 to 40 adults sending you messages, weekly, daily, whatever it may be, to get you to come to university. So then they come to the university, and then, it's not as many, all that attention they had, it's not there anymore. They get the attention of myself, academics, the strength staff, sports med, dietitian. Now, do they get attention from the coaching staff? Yes, but the coaching staff has to move to recruit the next class. And so I always thought about that. So one thing I came up with at a university I worked with was, we need to make a retention plan. We need to make a retention plan, because you got a 17 or 18-year-old who had all this attention, and then they get to campus, and then that attention is retracted, so that those coaches, which they got to do what they got to do, they got to move on to the next class. But how do we create a retention plan? How do we create value for them there? How do we show them that we value them on our campus, value them being there? Some of the things we did, I'm not going to give you everything. Coaches, if you're listening to this and I did make a retention plan. If you want that retention plan, if you want some retention plan strategies, reach out to me. I'm here to help. But some of the things we did, birthday shout outs, whenever they had a new academic career highlight, it was like, hey, here we go. Boom, great job, different things like that. But one, to show them that we value them, because those are the same things you did when you recruited them. You message them about their birthday, their mother's birthday. I've seen Mother's Day cards being sent, all of that. So taking that and just want to continue that attention. Yes, it's going to die down. It is. It's a numbers game. It's the system. It is what it is. But we want to provide a retention plan. We want to provide retention strategies to retain these young men in our program. Now, I think player development has a lot to play in that. As you develop a player, as you develop a person, I do believe that those strategies, that programming, the intentional programming, the holistic programming, the career development programming, getting them in the community, I think that builds on that plan, because you're getting them active. You're doing things, you're showing them their value, not only to the program, but to the community around. Now, with that said, I don't believe that's a sole solution to the transfer portal, because some players have gotten in the portal after winning a national championship. Some players have gotten in the portal after being first team all conference in this conference. I mean, I don't have an answer for that, but I do believe that you can help, alleviate mass exodus out of your program if you create a retention plan. If you or your program needs help with a retention plan, reach out to me. As I said earlier, I got you. I created one. I think it's really good. It's broken down into certain areas, certain ways, and throughout the year to help keep engaging your student athletes that are on campus. Well, that's all for today. If you're new here, thank you for coming. Give our Head Coaches the Player Development Guide series a listen by clicking on the playlist. I look forward to the next podcast where we jump back into the Head Coach's Guide to Player Development and cover hiring someone for the player development role or position. Thank you so much for tuning in and spending your valuable time with me. God bless you. Have a great day. Go out and create generational impact. Don't wait. Create that generational impact today.